us wonders, doesn't it?
Do we all feel comfortable with that?
Corey, do you feel comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Karen?
yes, in language.
I do. I mean, and the more we've talked about it, realistically, with the timeline that we did, we just cut out the chances for the agencies to present when we do when the ECD committee makes its decision. And so they will not have had a chance to interact with the committee at all. It sounds like, although they'll be in the audience and there may be questions like we did before. I think that the appeal process will do a couple of things for us. Certainly, it will keep that ECD committee fresh in terms of the process as well as the forms and the issues that the agencies have. I also frankly think that since those appeals will be on television, people will self-select in terms of how important it is to file an appeal, because before the committee, it will be a formal. Otherwise, certainly I would expect that the staff would have the same sort of consultation available afterward that we did before for people to find out, to learn a little bit more and figure out how to improve their applications in the future. So I think the system will take care of itself.
So, Ms. Wright, can you please read to us the change made in the appeals area,
Just the middle section?
the middle section?
All right. The ECD committee will then make their recommendations for funding. Grant applicants who disagree with scoring may appeal. The application packet must be the basis of the appeal. The request for appeal should be in writing, and then the rest is the same.
Okay. Are there any comments from the from the applicants that are out there with regards to the changes in the RFP and the appeal process? Seeing no comments, now that the RFP has been looked at and the appeal process has been amended, do we have a motion to approve the RFP?
Move to approve as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Are there any other items for the committee to evaluate? Ms. Hiller.
One quick report, we had talked about the Roundup program and franchise fee program and the various utility assistance programs at the last meeting, and we were expecting there might be a report. Staff has worked on that and communicated. It turns out that based on the council's discussion of those programs at a full council meeting, that Doug Gerber and staff at Utilities are working on a full review of the Roundup program anyway, and are expecting to report back probably to the full council rather than this committee. We'll just see probably within the next 30 days with some suggestions for improving on that. Because it looked like, as we looked it over, ideally you'd review all three at the same time, but this one needs to move to the council now, and it looks like it'll be fine to go ahead and move this forward as is. If there's some tweaking in terms of what's for water utilities versus gas and electric or medicine, that can happen as time goes on, but it looks like it'll just be the same or better in terms of utility assistance programs.
Okay. Mr. Schmidt, do you have any comments?
Nope.
Anybody from the committees, from the organizations that are out there that would like to make any comments before we close? Seeing none, just to summarize what's happened today, in the last hour and a half, we've been able to establish what the funding priorities are. All of the contracted organizations remain the same, with the exception of us adding funding from the Topeka Police Department for KCSL. In addition to that, our application timeline has been approved. You can apply for grants for as little as $10,000, but no less than that. You can also, there is no maximum. We have the scoring sheet reviewed, and the really important parts, as well as the fact that there's going to be $300,000 available for contracted services and $470,000 available for the social service organizations. I want to wish all of the organizations a very happy new year and wish you all the best on this year that is to come. We are looking at several challenges with regards to the condition of our state, and I don't know how many of you are receiving this type of funding, so you will be in my thoughts and in my prayers as you move forward doing the great things that you do for our community. Being no more items, I would like to thank our staff that has done marvelous work. Thank you very much for your diligence, not only Corey, but also our finance department that has been doing some amazing things for our city. And thank you for my committee partners. It's always wonderful to work with you. That being said, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All right, meeting adjourned. We started late and we finished just a little over.
Not too bad. Normally they're 2 hours.
Yeah.
I guess those are coming up still.
What page is that?
It is.
Oh, so it's G.
Mayor Larry Wolgass, and I want to welcome you to the first of a series of City 4 shows to help you get to know Topeka better. Today, we are taking a look at the heart of the city, downtown and the nearby neighborhoods. The city of Topeka has made a commitment to making these areas even more livable, and not just because these areas are so affordable for residents, but also they are affordable for taxpayers. Putting more effort into the infrastructure, that's the streets and sidewalks, the water mains and sewers, in the core of Topeka will help draw residents to the areas where city services are already provided. Planners talk about population density. It is more cost-effective, for example, to supply water to areas where there are several homes on a block than to areas where there is a quarter mile between driveways. Bill Fyender, the city planner, will be talking more about that later in the show. First, I'd like you to join me as we visit with a few of the people who are committed to downtown Topeka. They are growing their businesses in the city center, and they are being patient while a fantastic renovation is underway. As you know, by the fall of 2015, the pocket parks, wider walking areas, and artwork will be in place. And Kansas Avenue will be a showpiece that will impress visitors and make Topekans proud. Now let's hear from some of the people who are making their livelihoods downtown.
When did you open your business here?
The break room was in 2006. Field of Greens next door is another business my family owns. We started that in 2002. So we're going on 13 years.
And so you've had a record experiences of being downtown. Tell us a little bit, what's that been like?
Well, it has evolved a lot. In 2002 when we opened, anybody I said that we were going to open up in downtown to, they basically looked at me and almost laughed. And not necessarily laughed, they felt sorry for me because they thought that I had no chance to survive. We did that, and now the attitude's completely changed. We've noticed that over the last couple of years as there's been more progress happening downtown, and it's become inevitable that good things are happening here. Now we're being seen kind of as ahead of the game.
You also made the choice to be open evenings, and people I'm sure would wonder about that.
When we first opened up, we tried to just open up every night in the evenings. People could come in and we'd have our menu. That didn't work because it takes multiple businesses around to have them come in together, to bring that area of town and make them come here. So what we did is we decided we would start something that was unique, that you could only get if you came downtown to this facility for. So we started our cabaret dinner theater, and we started doing great shows and meals here, and we started doing special events to bring people in, tried to tap into markets that people hadn't formerly been doing here in Topeka. We have a comedy scene where we're bringing people from Lawrence and Kansas City are coming to Topeka to perform here because they really like our space for what we do. We have jazz nights. We're working with Washburn University to bring in their jazz students who perform here. We have karaoke nights where all the people who like to do theater get together, and you don't necessarily have to sing karaoke, but you're going to get a good show. So there's all kinds of things that happen down here.
And now, of course, in the last year, we've had a little construction downtown.
Yeah.
That you. Oh, you're aware.
I saw it a little
You're
something
aware.
out there.
You're aware it's going on.
Yeah,
right.
a little
Okay.
bit.
Well, so how has that? What's the effect? And be honest now.
Sure.
What's it been like? It's been a little challenging for your customers to get here to find the location.
It has been a little bit, but for the most part, one of the good things about downtown is that the business that I believe that we had, and probably many of the vendors, is that those folks were already down here working, and so they didn't get a couple of years off for that, so they still get to come down. They still patronize us. We weren't trying to bring in a whole new batch of people at the same time the construction was coming, so we knew that there should be some safeness there. We were safe. We've noticed a little bit of a bump, but for the most part, I think the end result is going to outweigh what we've been going through.
A year from now, when it's done,
Yeah.
then it will be much different.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're going to see more people coming in. We're seeing a lot of the buildings that are down here. They've sold to different
Right.
owners. You're seeing
Right.
a lot of them are to all local. We had some people from out of town owning buildings. A lot of them have swung back to local owners, which means that's going to be good for the local economy and bringing the mom and pops and
Right,
keeping it
yeah.
as a safe area for them.
Right, and it'll be local ownership, local interest, and that spreads.
Yeah.
That almost block to block.
Yeah.
As that happens, as it occurs.
And that's important to keep that
Right.
going in downtown. It needs to be a place where people from Topeka can start a business in Topeka and
Right.
thrive.
First of all, I have to ask, Hazel Hill has been here a while. When did you open?
Oh, we're on our 9th year, so what would that be? 2005?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. And how did you go about choosing to be located in downtown Topeka?
Well, we drove around a lot and we looked out at the mall and out on Wanamaker, but the feeling of downtown just felt more like us. It's a different feeling to shop downtown, and you get to know everybody, and the other businesses were very close.
I think that's what makes a downtown. It's that feeling, it's getting acquainted with people and your neighbors, and you have repeat customers,
Very
I think.
much, yeah.
Yeah,
very
right.
much.
That
We
can-
have daily almost, and then we have some that we maybe see once a year, but yeah, they come back.
Yeah. Have you seen things starting to become more involved and people having a different attitude towards downtown?
When we first opened, there was, on our side of the block, there was consistently at least one, maybe two storefronts that were empty. At least the last 3 years, it's been full on our side. And I don't know if it was because I was new and just didn't know the other business owners as well, but it seems like we all work together more. When we first started, Facebook wasn't a big thing, and now it is. And so we have a downtown business page that's a private group that the business owners can discuss events and plan a little bit and try to work together. And
Right. Well, then I know in the last year, there's been a little construction outside the front door. Like
Just a little.
just a little, right? 2 steps outside the front door. Well, and I know you've had to adjust to that. Tell me a little bit about how that has gone.
well, the hardest part is getting the word out
Yeah.
to our customers. We can post on Facebook, but not everybody does that. We can send emails, but a lot of times people maybe ignore emails. So we try to talk with the customers as they come in. One of the things nice that the city has done is offer 2-hour free parking vouchers.
For your side of the street, by this fall, another month, we're hopeful that it will be open.
That's what the gentlemen that come in and update me.
They keep you informed?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good. And they buy chocolate?
Just coming in and smelling the aromas,
Okay, all
They
right.
get tempted.
And I understand that you're actually opening another location.
It's open.
It is open.
Yeah, out in
Uh-huh.
Manhattan.
So your experience downtown has led you to believe it's good to be downtown.
Absolutely, yeah.
Hi,
Very well guessed.
nice to meet you.
Tell me a little bit about this store.
Well, I've actually been in this location 3 years, being between two of basically the grandfathers of downtown Topeka, David's and Wolf's, is very advantageous.
Sure, good.
Because they have a nice customer following, and when they see the display windows, it's pretty inviting.
Now, I understand you were not downtown and you located down here. Tell me a little bit about that process. Why downtown? How did you make that decision?
Well, I opened at the Thunderbird Square when it was new. Croco Road was closed for 8 months.
So you've had some experience with construction,
Oh, yeah.
street construction.
It's very dusty. That seems to be the worst part of the construction. I think it's going to be fabulous when it's all
Yes,
done.
yeah.
And just trying to weather through it and do some extra advertising and let people know that we're still here. And so I think it's going to pay off in the long run. My business is hung right in there, clear up to this point, so.
And we're hopeful that once the construction is done, there'll be other businesses that will be helpful to you. Fill up
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the stores,
Fill up the spaces.
and that all will make a difference.
It's going to happen.
It will. It's going to happen. Thank you very much.
welcome.
Appreciate the time, and thank you for having us in your store, and have a good holiday season.
We hope so.
Now tell me, how long have you been here? And
We've been in this location for 50 years,
50 years.
1964. We've been in business as Bryman's Leading Jewelers 74 years.
74 years.
3 generations.
So you haven't been here that long,
No.
but you have seen a lot of change.
I have indeed.
So how has downtown changed? You used to have a different store across the street.
We expanded
and,
to Westridge when Westridge opened in
Yeah.
1988, and we were there for 22 years and closed that location in January of 2010 and consolidated back to a single store, our home, 8th
yes,
and Kansas.
right. And how have you seen downtown change, say, in the last 10 years?
Young people coming in wanting things to do, and the energy is higher and greater than it's been in the past 30 years. In the last year and a half, there have been buildings sold and purchased in this 4 or 5 block area that we haven't seen turn for a long time. And a lot of exciting things on the horizon.
Now, I know there's been good organization like downtown Topeka, elements like that. Has that been helpful of
Absolutely.
communicating and bringing everyone along?
Absolutely. When I came back from Westridge to downtown, the Heartland visioning process had been in place, and the Capital District project had been formed, and that's when I became involved, and there was a real positive movement forward, which you were well aware of at
Yes.
that point.
Well, and it took a number of years.
It did.
And thank you for your participation. You were there as we worked through that process, and there were challenges, but we overcame
Still are.
them. Yes, but now you can look out the front door and you see stuff happening.
What is happening is fantastic. I am really excited about it.
Well, glad to hear that. I know there have been some challenges this year for your customers to get here and the parking, but how's business been
For
in
us,
spite
it
of that?
has been just fine. We have
Okay.
not been adversely affected by the construction. We are fortunate to be on a corner have 8th Street access, so our customer has been able to get to us.
Well, Rob, thank you very much. Appreciate it, and hope you have a good season.
Thank you.
One of the important programs of the city is a land use and growth management plan. It was done a number of years ago, and it has been updated. And so today we have here Bill Finder, the director of the planning department. And I understand that the planning department has been working on this for a period of time, actually updating it. But I'd like to have you just give some overview, some thoughts. Why is it important, and where do we see going with it?
The Land Use and Growth Management Plan is the official city policy of where and how the city grows. And when we say growth, that's population. It's also business and industrial type growth. So where those take place determines where we make our investments. We get a lot of return out on our investment if we focus on where we are. We have several examples where there has been investment made, private and public, that has increased, for instance, the property value 5, 10-fold, and we didn't have to add more police or a fire station or sewer water lines or increase the road capacity. So those are all good reasons that we see that we should make investing in our current core neighborhoods and our current city limits as the priority for growth.
So from the taxpayer's perspective then, we can actually have growth but not have to be extending fire, water, police, sewer to new areas, which is always very expensive for the city.
Correct. Downtown is a great example of compact development because it's mixed use. We have lots of transportation choices. It's very dense, and we haven't needed to add a significant investment other than maintaining what we have. We look at the area to see, can we actually fit this new population within the city limits? We have projected about 11,000, 12,000 people in the next 25 years at the current rate. We aren't going to be able to fit everybody in the current city limits. So we will have to grow somewhat, but that's not our lead-off hitter. That's not our we don't lead with that, but we do need to plan smarter at the fringe and grow compact and with a mix of uses and denser.
And so this goes back to why we have a plan. Once in a while, we need to stand back and look at it and see what's happening now, and then how do we project out for a period of time, and that's the planning department.
What we're doing here is we're trying to recycle the areas we have already made a down payment in. We've already invested as a city. Every taxpayer's paid for the road out your window, and if we don't use that to its fullest benefit, then we are shortchanging the taxpayers.
Well, I'm glad that you do this. I think the citizens, the taxpayers appreciate this type of planning, and it gives people an idea of what the city is thinking of planning so they can make plans accordingly, whether they're developers or people interested, whether they're investing in downtown or the neighborhoods or on the edge of town. They know where we are.
Exactly. I use the term development should follow our infrastructure and not the other way around. Probably we've played a lot of catch up in the past with trying to catch our infrastructure and our services up to where the development was going, as opposed to saying we will invest here, this is where we think it's best, and encourage the development then to follow along, because that is our biggest incentive, is where we put our money.
As Bill Finder discussed, it is in the best interest of all Topekans to put emphasis on the core of the city. That doesn't just mean downtown. Neighborhoods like Collins Park, Tennessee Town, and Oakland are in the footprint where city services are less expensive to provide because the population lives closer together. There are still many older neighborhoods in our city that are treasures, and Mara Dingman is here to tell us how one of them has been restored to its former glory.
I want to see the neighborhood stay healthy, continue to get healthier as part of a whole, not just Holiday Park, as the center city, as downtown. To me, the old part of any city is the story. It's the city's story. You know, it's where everything started. It's, you know, what our family origins are, basically. And when you start picking away at that, you demolish homes, you let whole areas go, you lose part of your story. We took properties that were, you know, a certain place in the tax rolls, and we've increased their value in 400, 500, 600%. And that's good for us and for the communities. If you care for them, if you keep a roof on them and keep the foundations intact, they will be here for hundreds of years. And the structures, the materials they used to build them, we cannot find now. It's so crazy to consider. I mean, we have, you know, thousands of square feet of maple floors here. I can't even imagine. The maple floors alone would cost more than the house did when I bought it originally. It's a great place for a young family to start out because you can get into an old neighborhood typically for a little less money. Not to say that you won't be putting some money into it, because you will, but again, if we, you know, Topeka or any community starts to appreciate and invest and care about those areas, our values will go up. Everybody's values will go up, I believe, and you can see it evidenced in other communities all the time. The pride that you get in fixing things up, that for me is just huge. Nothing makes me feel better than painting and standing back and looking at what I just did, or you know, restoring something and making it what it used to be. Neighboring is also a lost art, and that's part of what old neighborhoods are good for. You know, these old houses were built with the idea of coming out onto your porches and communing with your neighbors and having friends. And we always tout that as a benefit of our apartments here. There's so many people in this neighborhood to credit to Roger and Trenda Young, who have had the Devon for the last 10 years and brought life back to that. We have Cafe Holiday, we have Salon 808. Lots of folks who've been here for a long time, you know, just keeping things going. In all the neighborhoods, Old Town, College Hill, Elmhurst, Central Park, Chesney Park, they all have value. And it all, if the whole community